Are you having a tough time during COVID or lockdown or this pandemic in general? Well, today we're going to go through 3 tips for your mental well-being through these tough times. Welcome back to the Self-Esteem and Confidence Mindset channel with me, Johnny Pardo, here to help you boost your self-esteem, confidence, and manage that negative self-talk. If you want more videos like this, then you can subscribe to my channel or hit the bell to be notified every time I release a new video. So, this varies from country to country and everyone's situation is different through this whole pandemic in terms of what you're going through, whether that's your relationship, your job, or your well-being. This is going to vary from person to person. But I picked out 3 overarching themes that I've identified and the advice I would give personally to see if this resonates with you. Now, for me personally, I've been fortunate to share. I've been fortunate with my job situation. I work remotely as a project manager. I do my mentoring on the side as a confidence mentor and a writing mentor. But I'm quite a social person. I'm extroverted, so I love going out, meeting people, talking to people. I love playing football. So for me, the idea of sitting at home, watching the TV is just not appealing. So I'm missing this social interaction quite a lot, and I live on my own, so sometimes it gets to me and I feel a bit lonely. And it can get me down from time to time, but luckily I've got my whole personal growth that I love so much to focus on. I'm always talking to people and a variety of things like that. And it's going to be different for different people. So I like to emphasize that first of all. But it has meant I haven't touched alcohol for 3 months because I don't tend to drink when I don't go out. So maybe there's some benefits, and some people have experienced benefits such as this whole working remotely, more flexible situation. But obviously there's no doubt there's challenges. So the 3 points I wanted to go through. And the first one is being in control or feeling out of control of the situation. That's one thing that I've noticed most people are like. However, this doesn't just apply to COVID or the pandemic. This applies to life before and after that I've witnessed with so many people and had it myself. We worry too much or we focus on the things we can't control. And I've talked about this in previous videos and talks, and with my clients and speeches I've done, the circle of influence versus circle of concern by Stephen Covey. So the circle of influence is all the things you're in control of or can influence, so one or the other. But the circle of concern is all the things in your life that you aren't in control of. So that can be like this whole pandemic, government decisions, the weather, what other people say, what other people do. But we focus on these things even though we can't control it. So what are my points? What would be my biggest advice for this? Look at what makes you feel good and is in your control. So if you're thinking, right, I love going to the pub with mates. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about that and we're out of control. But what else can you do? So for me, I've been listening to music. I'm doing lots of exercise and I love going to the gym. The gym got shut down. So what can I do? I can go for runs around. So always look for what you're in control of and what's fun for you. That's my first point. My second point is people struggle to be alone with themselves. But if you want good self-esteem and confidence, you need to be good with being alone with yourself. And I often see or hear about people going into relationships because they want that external validation for approval of liking themselves, and they don't want to be alone. Now, I'm a man who's 30 years old and been single for his whole life. I've dated, of course, as I might have mentioned. Well, not of course, you might not know that, but I've dated before and sort of been seeing girls, but I've never been in an official long-term relationship. And I love being me. Obviously, I want a relationship with the right girl, but some people just can't be single or be alone with themselves. It doesn't necessarily relate to relationship status, but some people really struggle to be alone with themselves. And you need to do that because when we're alone with ourselves, we become self-aware and really understand our needs and more about us. Now, sometimes there's insecurities and negative things that might pop up from the past and you start feeling, oh, rubbish, but we need to deal with them. Progress starts with truth. And when you can acknowledge where you are and where you want to go, that's going to help you. Think about it. If you look on a map and see where you want to go, you need to know where you are. So you need to be alone with yourself and really take that time to be alone with yourself. Find a 20-minute slot each day at least, just to sit alone in silence with your own thoughts. Or what I do is I just run or walk with my own thoughts for 20 minutes because I'm not very good at sitting still. So I used to listen to music, but even that's a distraction. So be okay with being alone with yourself, and then start writing down and acknowledging some of these things. And then the third point I've noticed is they want a change. Well, there's a change in situation. Now, life is full of changes and challenges, and sometimes we don't like it, but it's what evolves us as human beings. Now, sometimes there's going to be changes which are really, really shocking, but I've heard of people who've made themselves from having the worst circumstances. People like Oprah Winfrey had a really struggling background. I've heard of, how do you pronounce it? Keanu Reeves, who had a horrendous start to life, and then through his life lost his loved one, lost children, had horrendous circumstances, but that's made him, and he says it's how it's made him in his mindset. I've had some of my worst times that have set me back and I felt really down and really dark places have made me into who I am, and I wouldn't be who I am. So sometimes when you go through a difficult time, sometimes look at the lessons you've picked up from them and how that's going to help you, how that's made you. Reflect on times when you've had a hard situation, but you've come out on top. So that's my third tip for that. Okay. And that's what I got for you today. So the other thing I wanted to mention is when I've just talked with people, whether that's my clients or mentoring or things like that, we've always reflected on, what's going right, what's awesome. And when you go through changes and things like that, it's good to reflect on what's going right in my life all the time. So this is another point, I guess, but it's gratitude and appreciating what's good in your life. Constantly doing that and focusing your mind. If you're not consciously doing this regular, like daily, then your brain's going to struggle because it's going to, by default, pick out the negatives. So that's one other point. Constantly working at training your brain and asking it good questions. What's good? What's great in my life? What do I like about me? What can I learn? What can I use to grow me? Okay. So that's what I've got for you in today's YouTube video. If you've enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a like, and you can subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Share it with friends and family if you think it's going to be of benefit to them. I really appreciate you for watching. I'll leave you with my usual message. Improve your self-esteem. You improve the lives of others.